Good afternoon, Captain Matt Edwards retired here with another short video. I'm doing this video in honor of the most recent hang-up from the Office of the Veterans Ombudsman. I was hung up on for the third time in about a week. I called and I spoke to Laura last week and she hung up on me. I called her yesterday and I ended up talking to her, and I was talking to her about the capital nature of the earnings loss benefit. And I was telling her that it was a earnings loss capacity benefit, like the Andrews versus Grandin toy case in 1978. So today I saw in the act that it was mentioned in the new Liberal government's amendments that they were actually recognizing that it was earnings loss capacity and not loss of earnings. So I called to say, I told you so, basically. I was going to tell her to look it up in the act and see that I was right. People should be competent in their jobs. It's an implied duty of every job to be competent in your job. So I called and I ended up talking to a different guy. He was pretty good, but he was not wanting to talk to me, so I ended up talking to Corey, a guy I ended up having a fight with last year. And I ended up with another fight. They have more seriously disabled and veterans to deal with than me, evidently. Even though I call usually about somebody else's problems, trying to help with systemic issues. So anyway, ended up he hung up on me too. So I just finished up by firing off an email to the Office of the Veterans Ombudsman, Guy Pearl, and complaining about his staff who aren't doing their job very well. And I'm going to call this video the duty of fair representation, because I asked Corey, was he in a union? And I used to be in a union when I was at CRA. When a union is representing you, they have a duty to represent you. They can't decide not to represent you. They have a duty, a legal obligation to represent you. And in this case, we don't have a union. Veterans don't have a union, and the Canadian Forces don't have a union. So we have ombudsmen. The ombudsmen are supposed to fulfill the role of the union, and they have to try to help us and not take a biased view. Now, I mentioned the biased view to Corey because the Office of the Veterans Ombudsman came out in a 2013 report, and they stated that they had no problem with the government taking offsets of Veterans Affairs benefits. Now, I probably spoke about this before, but pensions are savings. Earnings loss benefit are damages. They're not supposed to take your savings into account when you're damaged. The Canada Pension Plan is insurance. It's private insurance, like CISIP. So when you get damages, you're supposed to get the damages plus CISIP or Canada Pension Plan. So my lawsuits hopefully will take care of this, but I'm making this video because when I get upset, I get deathly calm like this. I'm ready to chew up nails. But the way I am, I usually get calm and I try to deal with it, and I'm trying to put out this video to try to make people aware of the bullshit that the Office of the Veterans Ombudsman, they're a waste of taxpayer dollars. In this current market environment where we have a very limited tax base and people are unemployed, why are we wasting money on the Office of the Veterans Ombudsman and their staff when they are incompetent and they're not doing their legal duty to help the veteran? Now, doesn't that sound reasonable? Even though I'm spitting mad here, I can spit out all this legal jargon and whatever, and basically I'm right, they're wrong.